XSI gives us a lot of really useful tools to help create some great characters. We're going to start by looking at one of them in particular. Under Model, go to Primitive, Model, and let's get a body man. This model can help us as a proportional reference, or we can actually use it as a starting point to build from. Let's see what we can do with him. We'll use him as a scale reference for his extremities. Of course, we can embellish on certain areas or tweak him however we want, but as a basic biped, he's just a great jump-off point. If you press 8 to explore, you'll notice the UV clusters have already been assigned. This will help us a lot in the next chapters as we practice texture painting. We'll begin by applying a texture. Switch to the Render tab and choose Get, Texture, Image, New from File. Go to Database 201. Select Pictures and choose the black.psd texture. This will give us a nice blank slate to experiment with. Choose the explicit UV projection. Then press Alt-7 to bring up the texture editor. And take a look at the unfolded UVs, which should make it easy for us to paint and edit. You probably already noticed the symmetrical face portion of the texture, but the rest may not be so obvious. Let's try to identify the different parts of the model. To do this, go to View and turn off the polygon bisectors, which are the little crosses. And we're also going to turn off the overlaps. You can also turn these on or off with buttons just under the View menu. Next, we'll create a stamp or a snapshot of our UVs and try some basic painting in Photoshop. Go to Edit and select Stamp Mesh. Change the file name from PIC to PSD. Name it Texture. And click OK to save it. It'll ask you if you want to update the image XSI is referencing to the one that we just saved. Select Yes. Now I'm going to open Photoshop, File, Open, select the texture.psd we just saved. And here we have our stamp image with the unfolded UVs. Next, we want to separate the outlines so we have a clean area to work with. Use the magic wand to select the black, zero tolerance, and without contiguous. Go to Select, Invert, Copy, Control C to copy, make a new layer. Go to the new layer, turn this one off, and Control V to paste. Now create a new layer, put it under the other layer, and fill it in. We're doing this so that we have a grid as a reference, but we'll be able to paint underneath on the black. Alright, we're going to paint on top of this layer, and I'm going to start with some basic colors. Let's just choose a generic kind of flesh tone. We're not really going to worry about any detail right now, just adding the color. Let's add some blue and paint in these. Some green. more. Just paint some dark ones. That's good. And that's it. Now, I'm going to save the texture, go back to XSI, and you can see that the texture has been updated. So you can go back, turn off the reference grid, save it again, and there we have our texture. You'll see that the orange areas we painted are the pants, the green is the chest and the back. We have the head and the hands. If we go back and paint some more, we can identify some more key areas that we may still be missing. For example, let's just paint some more detail in the face. Go back to Photoshop, turn on our reference. And let's say we want some eyebrows. Just paint in something like that. We can paint a little more color in the lips. A little here. A little bit more. Just something neutral. We can play a little bit with the character's hair. It's a lot more efficient if we create different layers for each of the different bits, the hair, the skin, etc. But we're not going to spend too much time on this right now. I just want you to see how it works. Get a basic idea. There's a lot of techniques to painting good textures. But right now I'm just going to give you a real basic overview. Alright, so I'm already trying to add too much detail. Let's just save it. Go back and get a better idea. You could spend a while really detailing the different areas of even the simplest model. But you can also get some great results really quickly if you're a bit creative. Okay, let's modify our guy's geometry a bit using XSI's symmetry functionality. I can start to move points with the tweak tool, or by pressing M on the keyboard. Turn on symmetry. And then, by selecting various points, we can start to reshape our model. The great thing about using symmetry is that every adjustment I make, XSI replicates symmetrically in perfect proportion. This technique, when paired with the proportional option, can let us very quickly begin creating interesting characters. Press R to adjust your proportional radius. Let's make the head a little bit more exaggerated. Pull out the nose. Maybe even a little bit more. I'll give him some big arms just to bulk him up a little bit. And slowly we can just kind of sculpt out our new character. A bit like you would with clay, adding a little bit, removing bits. Smoothing out some areas. Anything to give him some more personality. pull out the ears. Maybe give his head a more distinctive shape. Okay. Well, that's just sort of a start. You can definitely use this technique to create an entire clan of some pretty out there creatures. I'm kind of imagining some alien map world populated with all kinds of crazy looking guys. And if we spend a little time painting textures, we could get a really scary looking crew. A good thing to note while working with symmetry is that if you duplicate on one side, Control D to duplicate, turn off proportional, it doesn't duplicate symmetrically. So undo. If we want our character to be perfectly symmetrical, let's go to our front view, and using Y, select half of the character, erase, and we'll work with just one half, which can also help conserve some system resources. Reselect our polygon by pressing U, then right-click, and choose Extrude Along Axis. Add a few subdivisions. Under the Extrude tab, Subdivisions. Adjust the inset a bit. Then go to the Transform tab and rotate. And maybe scale it a bit longer. This way, if we're trying to give him some horns or something, we can keep tweaking, and we don't have to worry about them not matching up in the end. Now switch to your shaded view. Let's take a closer look at the geometry that we've created. Switch to the Model tab, select the Add Edge tool, and let's add just a touch or two of detail to round them out a bit. You can add as much as you'd like. Once you're done, choose Polygon Mesh, Symmetrize Polygons. You can adjust the offset and distance if needs be. And when you switch back to a textured view, notice the texture has also been preserved. Select the model, hit Alt-7, and we return to editing our UVs. Excellent. Alright, let's erase him. And just like we got a body man, we can choose a body woman. She's very similar, although obviously a better starting point for any female characters you may want to develop. And inside the texture editor, you'll see that the UVs are unfolded in just the same way. Now let's get another primitive model called Face Man. I'm going to leave the property editor window off to the side and set a lock. Then by pressing A, I can zoom in and we have a basic head. Notice that the property editor is broken down into several sections. Head forehead has some basic size and shape parameters. The lower head has sliders for cheeks, the jaw, chin, neck, as well as other tabs for eyes, nose, mouth, and ears. These sliders are really useful for making quick and simple adjustments that allow you to custom tailor your character's face. Pull out his forehead a little bit. Beef up his neck. Make the jaw a little bigger. Adjust his nose. Tweak the mouth. We can position it higher or lower. And the top. Lower lip. The ears. You can really have a lot of fun just dragging sliders and creating heads. We can add some detail to our face's polygon mesh by selecting it and pressing the plus or minus key on the numeric pad, which adds or removes subdivisions. This is simply subdividing the geometry to make it a little smoother. You can do it again, and it gets even smoother. And you can even save your presets. For example, if you decide you like this one, go to the Render panel, and under Render Region, Region Tool, or by simply pressing Q on your keyboard, select a region to render. Wait a second. And now click Save to save your preset using the render region as a thumbnail. Navigate to the 201 database. Create a presets folder if you don't already have one. And save it. Cool. Let's try one more face. Just something different from the last guy. Maybe we'll make him a bit gaunt. Suck in the cheeks. Really bring in the neck. His ears. Bring him in a bit. But I want to make him a little bit bigger. And then open him up a bit. Alright, I'm just tweaking. Something like that. Alright, and let's save these settings as another preset. Render region. Save. If I select icons, you'll see the first preset in there. And now, if I choose load, I can retrieve the first preset. But the window's closed, so where can we find it again? Open Explorer. Go to Man Face. We have Face 1 with an icon that represents the custom property editor. If we click on the C, we get our Properties window. And we can continue to make any adjustments we have in mind. And of course, by pressing Alt-7, we can unfold its UVs so that we can custom paint its texture.